Well, hey everybody. We're here. We're live. This is actually happening. We are doing our third annual Freelance Business Week, and of course, as you can tell, we're doing it virtual. So I'm so grateful that you're here. It's going to be a pretty busy week and a whole lot of stuff going on. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Emily Leach. I am indeed the founder of Freelance Business Week and the Freelance Conference. And there's a couple of things I just want you guys to know before we dive into this opening session. So if you want to take a quick look down below where I'm at on your screen, there is a chat Q&A session area down there. So feel free to ask any questions, answer questions that might be asked on stage, give us your thoughts or opinions on things. I'm going to be watching that. And as questions come up or comments or celebrations, whatever you decide to post in there come up, I'm going to do my best to bring them into the conversation this morning. So thank you for jumping up, getting up early. I know some of you guys are on the West Coast, some are on the East Coast. So it's a little tougher for some of us than others to make it to something first thing in the morning. So I appreciate it. So a couple things I just want to make sure everybody knows. We went over the Q&A stuff. This event does go all week long. Replays are available throughout the week as well. So after a session, if you miss it, you can always come back and watch that. And then after all the replays are done here, probably in about a week or so, we will be moving those videos over to YouTube so that you can access them there as well later on. Today is really full of a lot of really great talks. We've had a tough year. And so it's great to start the week off with talks around mindfulness and perseverance and sales and how we can generate better and more clients using LinkedIn and stuff like that. So first and foremost, I want to real quickly talk about Freelance Conference. If you're not familiar with that, it is literally the only conference in the world right now that is designed and dedicated to the business skills that we need to be freelance business owners and the camaraderie that helps us fight off that feeling of isolation. And it typically happens every year. This year with COVID, we did a virtual event back in April. Some of you guys attended that. And thank you for coming back. And the next in-person event, of course, assuming what happens with COVID, this is lasting longer than any of us expected, is scheduled right now for September 12th through the 14th in Denver, Colorado in 2021. So we'll definitely be pushing out more information about that. You are already on that list just by signing up for this. If you weren't on the Freelance Conference list before, you are now. We don't spam. We just send out, I think, really great information every once in a while and then definitely give you updates on that. So before we need to do anything else, we really, really got to say thank you to some amazing people. Even though I founded this whole crazy thing, it doesn't happen without a whole lot of help. So let's bring on every single one of the organizers that have played a huge, tremendous part in making this happen. So let's just start bringing these puppies on. Here we all are. Everybody is here. So guys, I want you guys to meet every single one of these humans. They've put in a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of forethought and excitement into making today happen. So do you guys mind? I'm going to go in the order. I think everybody can see it in the same order. And Michaela is from Austin, and I'm going to give you the floor here in just a second. We have Marie is in Buffalo, and Kevin is in Tampa, Florida, and Jonathan Livio are both in Miami. And I think everybody except for Kevin was at the Freelance Conference this past year. So Kevin, we need to get you there next year.
I'll be there.
Okay. So real quickly, let's just take, 30 seconds, a minute, and tell us a little bit about who you are. And if you still have time, I'd love to know what makes Freelance Business Week important to you to bring to your city. Michaela, do you want to kick us off?
Absolutely. So for me, I am a coach as well as a fitness trainer. I am known as the procrastinator coach. Anybody who knows anything about procrastination, I am the queen expert, everything on procrastination. So therefore, over the years, I've created tools for procrastinators and coaching them through whatever they need to get through. What Freelance has done for me as well as community and bringing this together is really finding out how much information is out there. You know, going from corporate into the freelance world, you don't really always know a whole lot. So this has been a great thing to learn the behind the scenes. I've got to experience Freelance Conference 2 times. And to get behind the scenes and actually understand what goes on is a whole nother world. So it has been fantastic to learn different areas that people really train from, and I get to pull information and knowledge from and help me grow my business even more.
Awesome. Thanks. Hey, Marie, how about you?
Hi. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Marie Rochelle. I've been freelancing since 2014. Honored to have received the Most Aspirational Freelancers Award last year at the Freelance Conference. And honestly, this event changed my life. So I couldn't be more thankful for Emily and everyone on the team, everyone that's involved. It's literally changed my life. You know, I'm opening a co-working space here, just about 20 minutes south of Buffalo in Hamburg, where I live. And it's been an amazing experience. Our community does exist, and it does exist in Buffalo. So super excited and honored, honestly, to be the one to represent us on a national level.
Awesome. How about you, Kevin?
Hey, so good morning, everyone. I'm probably the newest to this space. I retired a year ago, January, from 45 years in the world of corporate public relations. So decided to do my own thing and start my own public relations firm. So as far as freelancing and being an independent workspace, this is all relatively new to me. And so I started networking and reached out to somebody and ended up connecting with Emily and saying, hey, it'd be great to have something in Tampa. And she said, okay, how about you organize it? So we could really ask for, but I'm really looking at this as an opportunity to help, certainly to help build my business and offering public relations services. My focus is predominantly in the nonprofit sector. I developed a real passion for nonprofits during my 45 years as a corporate funder and philanthropist. And so that's the space that I'm pursuing right now. And it's a delight to be with all of you today.
Thank you so much. How about you, Jonathan?
Hi everyone, my name is Janiel O'Neill. I'm a creative director, designer, and photographer, and I've been working in the education and entrepreneurship space for the past 3.5 years. So I'm really happy to continue doing this work through Freelance Business Week. I started freelancing officially full-time 2 months ago. So I'm learning a lot of things.
Congrats!
In the process, yeah. So I knew that I needed to help other people because I'm not the only one asking all these questions. So why not organize this and have a bigger impact in my community? So that's what I'm doing, and I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome. How about you, Livio?
Hello, I'm Livio from Miami, Florida. I've been a freelancer since 2016. I started as a writer, and then I moved into technology work, and then that has me right now freelancing part-time for my own private personal work, and also working on a public interest technology nonprofit. And what I like the most about I kind of started freelancing completely by accident after I helped a friend out write one of his papers in college, and he said, you should get paid to do this. And then I said, maybe I should get paid to do this. So I made some business cards and just started handing them out, and eventually started getting some clients for writing projects and writing coaching. So that's how I got my start. And I really see freelancing as an opportunity to solve some really, really modern problems in our modern economy, and also to for people to really start living their own lives and living their lives on their own terms. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to keep building the freelance space here in South Florida and connecting with people nationally who are also freelancers, and just seeing where all this drives us.
Awesome. Well, I could not have asked for a better team. So this year, when it came down to, hey, we still want to have Freelance Business Week, we can't really have in-person events. And I don't know if putting on an event for, a collection of only 10 people, which is what most cities are still allowing right now, makes a whole lot of sense. So how about we do it virtual? And then the other person was like, okay, well, I want to do mine virtual, but I want to do it then. So we basically all got together and said, well, why don't we just do it all together? We talk about being stronger together. So let's see if this event really does end up being stronger together. And it did. I think we had a lot more fun putting it together. I know I've heard from everybody on this team about that. But I think the biggest thing that came out of that was, Michaela, I'm going to just go ahead and bring you to the forefront here, is she said, you know what, this is also a really great opportunity to dive into a conversation that I'm not sure freelance business owners are having about their business, and that is diversity and inclusion. So thank you for bringing that to the forefront, and thank the rest of you guys for wrapping your arms around this and saying, yeah, this is a conversation that we need to have. So that's our inspiration for why we're dedicating a whole lot of this week to that conversation. And it really, to me, it really hit home with the concept of breaking boundaries. We've broken a lot of boundaries this year, thanks to COVID. You know, the world thought that we couldn't work from home, and we're like, what? Why can't you? We do it every day. And you know, the amount of awareness that we've gotten. This year was the first time ever that freelance business owners were included in, you know, stimulus checks and unemployment and PPP. You know, all these different programs that were designed and put together during a pandemic or during an emergency like this, that are usually only available to a larger business owner to help them succeed. And they're like going, wait a minute, we have, what is it, like $1.7 trillion that goes into our economy from freelance business owners. If they go under, that's a lot of money too. It's 5%, I believe, of our GDP. So congratulations, guys. We've made one small step forward in being included in the business world. And to me, that's huge. So let me ask you guys a couple of questions. Let's dive into this D&I. What does that mean to you as an individual and or as a freelance business owner?
Yeah, well, I'll be glad to jump in,
Okay.
Emily. So, you know, and I'll just sort of start in my corporate space with the organization I was with, and actually, as I was retiring, we had just established an office of diversity and inclusion in our corporate office, recognizing the importance of us really being focused on that. And you know, I heard a story once, and I can't remember where I heard it, but you know, it sort of was trying to illustrate what's the difference in equity or equality, and it used this sort of this illustration of you've got one guy who's 6 feet tall and one guy who's 4 feet tall, and you say, okay, I want you to get up on the roof and clean out my gutters, and you put a 10-foot ladder up there. Well, they both got the same size ladder, so it should be fine, right? But when you think about that, those two guys are coming from different spaces. One's 4 feet, one's 6 feet. One's not going to be able to make it. The other one is. So I don't know. It just, you know, I work real well with pictures, and so I have to remember that, you know, all of us are coming from different spaces or different places, and so to me, that's kind of a good mindset for me to have when I focus on that issue and how important it really is.
Yeah, I'm pretty visual too, so I appreciate that. How about the rest of you guys?
I'll chime in. I think it's wonderful, honestly, just looking at even our group today, right? We're all so diverse. So leading by example is really important. I think a lot of us that are here and tuning in do this already, and we're not necessarily acknowledging it or realizing it because of it's just a part of who we are. So, right. You know, being more aware of what we're already doing and then continuing to do that and pushing that even more. I think just becoming self-aware and helping others become self-aware of how great they're doing at being diverse and inclusive in order to do more of that. So.
And I know for me, it's definitely even through just my career period, because going from being military into the corporate world, into the freelance world, it plays a big role. And I remember being in corporate, and you have moments of like feeling like the token piece sometimes. But at the same time, I also have been told many times over again, take it and rise above it, as well as use it, because everybody has different areas of diversity within themselves. Everybody is unique, whether it is being a veteran, whether it is being part of the LGBTQ community, whether it's being part of being disabled or whatever. It's beyond race, it's beyond gender, it's beyond all of that. So it makes an impact into the freelance world, into my world, as far as seeing people for who they are, not for what you initially see, because there's so much beyond that package.
Yeah, that's a big piece for me, and I think it's where a lot of people struggle. It's like there's I see people in conversations and like going, I'm not trying to not be diverse or inclusive. It's just where the conversation is, or maybe some of that is excuse, but there's a lot of times where you're just in the middle of it, and you realize that, oh, I should have done something different. Can you guys give any? I know I'm going off topic a little bit, but can you guys give some feedback for when people find themselves in the space where it's like, oh, I didn't proactively be engaged in diversity and inclusion in this decision or this something that I'm doing? Thoughts, feedback on what we can do that might make us better at managing that?
I think that if you're finding yourself in that type of space, to reach out to others within the space that you are in and discuss it. I think that that's something that we don't do as much as we should, or we should at least be trying to do more of. If you find yourself in a very specific space, I think it's super important to reach out to others that may be having the same types of struggles, and then you can come together and brainstorm ideas. And you may know someone that you've been interacting with for a long time, or even a short time, that can help you make movement within your issue or your struggle, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm just going to share, again, as independent practitioners, just me, myself, and I, right? So you think, what can I do? But I will tell you, my industry, the public relations industry, through our national professional association, Public Relations Society America, is very active in this, and actually both at the national level and at our local chapter level. And I think sometimes it takes, somebody, we're very fortunate to have a local member of PRSA who's championing this cause. And sometimes it's just a matter of bringing it to the forefront, having somebody who will, carry the flag, if you will, and sometimes just simply remind us of how important this is. So I think that, we sometimes think of us, if it's just us, what really can we do? But if you think about the influence we have within our industry, I think it's powerful.
Especially the people that we work with. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yes, our colleagues, our peers, go ahead, Marie.
Thank you. The people that we work with, your vendors, your partners. For example, as a social media manager by trade, I work with brand developers, content creators, videographers, photographers. Those people, you don't have just one or two of them in your pocket, hopefully. And if you do, I encourage you to reach out and expand your network of those specific industries. Those are just a few examples, but you can become inclusive and diverse with people that you may never thought that you would have a connection with, but you would soon find out that you do in some way, shape, or form. So,
what I personally love so much about D&I is once you're able to get to the point, once you're able to get to the point where it truly is your own personal culture, and you look past, I got to have this many of this color and this many of that color. That, to me, that's not what D&I is about. To me, what it's about is the voice that you're trying to create. So, of course, I do a lot of events, and so that's easy to pull in. But I'm thinking about like a web project, right? So if I reach out to partners that have different cultural thoughts and feelings and ways of looking at life and the world, then that comes into the project. And then my client's end result becomes a much better piece. Our events become a much better piece because we got the culture, all the things that come behind the human. Mm-hmm. So for me, that's what I just love so much about not just the conversation, but really shining a light on D&I and what it means to us individually. How about you guys? Jonathan, Livio, you haven't spoke up yet. You aren't getting away.
Yeah. Yeah, we're shy. Yeah, I will say that it all starts with empathy. And when we are in that space that we don't know how to react to some things, it's just taking a moment to listen and pay attention to what's happening around us. When all these racial tensions started a few months ago, a lot of people go immediately to social media and make a statement, and they're posting and they're doing the things, and then I was like, I should be posting something, I should be saying something, but then I realized that, you know what, I need to start with myself. I need to understand where I'm at and just pay attention and listen and have empathy for others and try to understand their stories. So I think that that's one of the main things that you can do. I think that's the best piece when sometimes we find ourselves in that space and we don't know what to do, we don't know what to say. So just pay attention, listen, and be empathetic. So
Ooh, I love that.
I love that.
One.
Yeah, I love that, Jonas. I did something very similar. I dug deep and, looked at myself and did some research and made sure that, I was in the right place, before voicing our opinion on our ever so powerful social media.
So I love everyone's take, everyone's different take, and there's kind of like the similar strand, and it really comes down to community. I think that's like the common thread among what we've all said. For me, what makes freelancing especially useful to me for promoting something like diversity and inclusion is the fact that because we're basically the smallest building block of an economy right now, or basically the smallest economic agent, we have ways of getting around our communities and our economies in a way that traditional businesses can't, because we use our values and we use what we consider to be a sustainable or an acceptable business model, or even an inclusive business model, and we take that to our community and we join other communities, whether it's our clients' communities or our fellow freelancer circles, or we go to FreeCon. Those are things that we take with us and then we incorporate as part of like a bigger whole. And because we are very agile and lean, we can do that quickly, and we can do that in a way that is very personal to us and connects us with a greater whole. And that's why I think freelancing really promotes diversity and inclusion.
I'm just going to sit back and ask questions because you guys are doing a way better job of this. Thank you, man. That was awesome. I may have to sit here and think about that for a little bit. But let's go ahead and jump into the next question, because I think it's going to build on top of what you guys have started up. And I want to know what the biggest piece of advice for getting started with diversity and inclusion. If you're not there yet, or if you're just, it's like it's a huge conversation right now, but you're like going, am I diverse? Do I do this? And if not, how do I change that?
I would say one thing is, one, what I said earlier, don't judge the book by its cover. 2, education. We have to educate ourselves. Like, it's no longer using the excuse, oh, I didn't know, or I wasn't aware. We have a wealth of knowledge out there now, more knowledge and access to it than we ever have before. So that excuse is no longer, to me, valid. And it's really getting uncomfortable in spaces that you're not used to. One thing I've realized that I've done over the years is I'll get invited to events of like groups, and they think different than I think, look at life different than I look at life, but I still go because I want to know their perspective. I want to know their viewpoint. And most times I find out, wow, we got quite a bit in common and didn't know. But what if I didn't go to those events? So I love choosing, especially when we get back to normal. I would love to get back to going to those events where you never thought you would go, or expanding your network more into outside our bubbles. Because all of us, well, not all of us, but sometimes we tend to be in our bubbles because it's so comfortable and we know what it's like, we can predict. But why not step outside that bubble and actually see what else is out there in other clientele or other networking people, like Marie said about, adding different people from different areas of networking into your network. But in order to do that, you've got to go outside of your own space into other areas to find those people.
Yeah. And I think to touch on what Jonath was saying earlier about communication and, education on these things, communicating with those that are different than you. I think that that's super important, and being honest about it, having hard conversations, having difficult conversations. Personally, I've reached out to others, even during a pandemic when, it's harder to make that personal connection. You can't maybe meet in person, but maybe you schedule a video call. Hey, I noticed you have a certain viewpoint on this. I actually really want to learn more. At this time, I feel differently about it, but I'm interested in hearing, why you, support a specific person or work heavily in a certain area. It's hard to do that, but I think that that's a huge part of growth. And, especially now, just becoming a better human. Becoming a better human is reaching out to the others who are different than you and asking them their viewpoints, because maybe oftentimes they've never had someone do that before. So, you give them some things to think about, and then they connect with you, and naturally they're going to want to hear why you maybe feel differently about it. And then you can explain your way, and then that's how you really create a bond and connect with other people, even though you may not feel the same way about certain topics.
Giving people a safe place to be able to do that. I think the key there is to not be controversial yourself.
Right. Yeah. It can be a difficult conversation, but if they're able and willing to have it, then I think that we should be doing more of it.
Definitely. I think everyone has like deeply rooted premises as to what they think makes someone more diverse and inclusive, quote unquote. Like you said earlier, Emily, is like fill up our numbers. No, it goes beyond more than just that. But I think it takes a lot of self-awareness to say, well, hey, there are things that I don't know, and there are also questions I would like to find answers to. And that can take a whole slew of ways, but it does require that level of self-awareness to say, hey, I don't know how life is for this other person that looks different to me, or that lives different to me, or lives in a different area code to me. Miami is a very, very diverse city, and like every other big city has its many segments. And you'd be surprised at what you can learn about your own city if you just decide to kind of step out into a different community and say, hey, how are things going over here? And what can I do to help? Maybe as a freelancer offering a certain type of service, creating new packages for different types of communities. You can go a lot beyond just more than having just a conversation. You could also be an explorer of that complex diversity that exists even in your own communities. And if there's not enough diversity in your communities, well, go talk to more people who might be connected. You definitely know something. So
use Zoom.
Yeah, use Zoom. You have Zoom now, so there's if there's a will, there's a way nowadays, especially today. So that's my spiel.
Yeah, there's definitely no excuse now.
I will say that for me, as someone that has a different background, I mean, I was born and raised in Nicaragua, and I've been only in the US for 5 years. So I don't think I have a lot of advice. So I will only say that as a Latina, as an immigrant, as a woman of color, I'm still figuring out what it means to be those things in this country, because of course the experiences that I have are completely different to most people. So as I previously said, just start with yourself and know your story and own that, and be able to explore what are your thoughts, what are your judgments, or what are you thinking about these other things, and just talk to other people and try to listen. So that would be my advice, really. So just start with yourself, and be able to and be open to connect with people that have different backgrounds.
So Kevin, you're the last one.
Yeah, so I guess it comes back to who your community and the people that we're not experts on everything. I'm certainly not an expert on things that go way outside the realm of public relations. But I would tell you that the folks who've really educated me the most about this, and it was way before all of the sort of the protesting and other things that we've seen over the last several months, where I serve as the board chair of a statewide nonprofit, and our CEO is very much an advocate for diversity and inclusion. And she sort of brought this to my attention and said, we recognize that a leader every year in our community. We haven't recognized, a person of color. I mean, even if you just take that one segment. And so it really got me thinking about, gosh, you're right. And then we started thinking about our own board of directors and how we needed to be more diverse among all different lines. And then also, and one of our new board members that we brought on, who is an African American woman who's very involved in outreach in the local community here in South St. Petersburg, was very helpful in really educating me on this. So I think it is, reaching out to people who know a lot more about a subject than we do, and that's been very, very helpful to me. And then what's now going on within my own industry. So
awesome. So taking that one step forward, how do you guys think we could get? I know this is huge, but I'm going to say it anyway. Every single freelance business owner actively engaged in their own diversity and inclusion, in their business, in their being, so that as a group, we as freelance business owners are known as, we could literally be the leaders, I think, in this space. Because one of the things, like Olivia said earlier, is I think one of the things that actually makes us great freelance business owners is that we probably weren't willing to put up with something that was happening in a company, which, if you think back, may very possibly have just been a part of diversity and inclusion. And so we decided we wanted to live on our own terms, build a business on our own terms. Thank you for using that Olivia, because I love it so much. And so here we are. And here we are talking about it. Mm-hmm. How could we get everybody on board?
I think a huge part of getting people on board is just starting small, right? Task yourself to reach out. Task yourself to have that difficult conversation, not, going into it, knowing or thinking that it'll be difficult, but challenge yourself with it. Say, okay, well, you know what, I would really love to, or I'm very passionate about this. I would also love to learn maybe the other side or different communities. Kind of touching on what Joan was saying, her background. And I was adopted as a baby from the Philippines. And I was raised by two very white parents in the rural area around Buffalo. And, I like to think of myself being diverse just by nature. It wasn't even something that I chose. It was the life that was chosen for me. And, becoming aware of that, and then realizing that I have a strength in that. I have the opportunity to use that as a strength to connect other people, because, I've been placed in an area where there are so many different people, and I kind of touch in all of those different communities. So
I just would like to say, kudos to you, Emily, and all of the folks on the screen here, because I think this is a great starting place here, right? So, I mean, we early on identified this as something that we wanted to kind of be an overriding theme of this conference. And then we have some, we have a panel that's going to talk about it. And then we have some, specific presentations on the subject of D&I. And I think somebody once told me, a long time ago, and I think it was somebody who, as it related to starting to write something, how do you start writing something? And they said, well, the best way to begin is to begin. And this is a great beginning. And so I think this is a great start.
Yeah. Being here, listening to the sessions, tasking yourself to reach out. I think that's very attainable for anyone here.
I 100% agree with you, Kevin. Like, this is a great start. Like, we just have to, in the freelance world, continue having these conversations. It's great getting it started this week, but it needs to just continue more on a regular basis. And making sure that freelancers have access to resources to educate themselves more, or allow themselves to explore diversity and inclusion more in their world. So I think this is an excellent place to start, and just continuing it.
Yeah, as far as making, actually like enacting change at scale, which is basically what I heard from Emily's question. As freelance business owners, I think that the best thing we can do is really show the rest of the world, like, hey, this life is attainable. It's not easy, and it's not immediate, and it doesn't happen overnight. But if you really have that need and that drive to be one, a freelancer, and two, a freelancer who really represents the values of a diverse and inclusive culture and a diverse inclusive community, then you have to show other people how to do it. You have to do it yourself, and you show other people how to do it in a way that supports those values and supports a vision of a better community. So there's nothing. I guess it really comes down to just saying, like, if you see something's wrong, if you see a broken system, don't participate in it and make your own.
That's what
we all
good
do.
at. Yeah. So let's jump in about how to actually do this. What are some creative ways for people to proactively source clients and subcontractors on projects from underrepresented communities, areas of their city that maybe, every city has it. Every city that I've known has it, where there's some humans over on the other side of town and we don't necessarily connect with them. How do we change that and learn, who they are as humans, what they have to offer to the world and our potential clients? I
think volunteering is a really great, easy way. We're blessed with the schedule that we choose. So being able to fit that into our schedules it's attainable, and it's a great way to get involved. You don't have to, jump in too much too fast. You can simply volunteer for an event or contribute your skills and get to know them through a way that you're comfortable.
And I also say to go to those areas. Like here in Austin, I remember getting here and people telling me about different areas of Austin and certain areas to stay away from. But then I actually started exploring those areas and I love them. I absolutely love them. I don't understand what other people saw because I love them. Oh my God, the foods over there is so good.
Yeah. So many best restaurants are over there.
You've got us at food.
Yes,
food.
People and just talking, and you can just sit for hours just talking to a stranger and like start building from there. So it's really just, again, going to those areas, or like Marie said, volunteering. Wow.
That's a hard word sometimes.
For different things that could be in those areas. And another thing is we live in the world of social media. Even though I am not a huge fan, we are in social media world, and we have so many groups that to be a part of that are public as well as private that you can join and actually get more of an understanding or more of a connection or building your network more to understand other areas that we individually are not familiar with currently.
Yeah, I would just say, I think it's something you need to be very intentional about. And that was certainly the case for me. And again, I've had some folks who've really helped me along with my understanding, and not only in the corporate world, but now, in the independent worker space. And I think you have to be very intentional about it. I mean, one of the things that I hope that the folks listening in today, again, going back to, it's just me, myself, and I. So what can I do, right? So I don't have to worry. I mean, I can't make myself more diverse, but I can certainly expand my awareness of diversity. And I think, whether you're a freelancer who's in PR like me, or marketing, or you're an attorney, or you're a CPA, or you're a salesperson, whatever you're doing in the freelance space, just realizing that, number one, if you add up all the people in your same industry, it's in the tens of thousands, probably, if not hundreds of thousands, and what you can do to influence that association, but also recognizing that, the organizations and corporations, large and small, that are your clients, this is a very important issue for most of them. And keep that in mind, that there's going to be an expectation that you make a commitment to this.
I would say for us here, in Miami, we have amazing places like Venture Cafe Miami. They host weekly events, and then you can connect with the innovation ecosystem, with the entrepreneurship ecosystem. So just going to those places and connecting with those communities, and just joining networking events, or just doing some research and going on Instagram and following some accounts, and then seeing the suggestions that you have. And these are Black-owned businesses. These are businesses from Latin people, and then you just start from there. if we're spending a lot of time on social media, I think we can put 1 hour or 30 minutes just to do our homework and try to find different people, and not just go with the same thing or the thing that we're getting on the media. So I think we just have to do our research and also connect with our communities and networking places. So that will be a great place to start with that.
And maybe not just believe everything you hear just because it was said
Yeah.
on the news.
Right.
Do your own
I,
research, which is
Yeah.
what I'm getting from you.
I haven't said this yet. I really can't believe I haven't said it yet, but just co-working spaces, you guys. Right? How have we not brought this up? I mean, I'm opening one.
I don't
but
know.
Still, co-working spaces are a great place, not only for freelancers, but, talking about us specifically, that, cafes, co-working, that's where we work. The co-working spaces here in Buffalo, there's some in the city, there's some north of the city, south of the city, even more south. So even just going to different spaces within our region gets you out there, and then those spaces have events. You can lead an event at those spaces. There's so much opportunity there, and it's already a hub. Your local cafe, your local co-working space, it's already a hub for different people coming together for whether it's work or coffee. It's the perfect place. So
Okay, so now let's take that human that is going to be watching this, maybe watching it now, maybe watching it later, and they get it. They're like, I have some work to do, and where do I start? I'm going to go. I mean, this may sound silly, but at the same time, it's a step forward. And they're just trying to figure out what's my next step. I've gone to the other side of town, and I'm standing in the middle of town. What do I do now? How do I address this? How do I take my first step? To take Kevin's lead on the way you start writing is you write. So the way I start being more diverse and inclusive is to go and engage. I think we've made that a pretty prominent point. And I want to make sure that those humans that are maybe playing with that idea and coming to the conclusion that I have some work to do here, granted, they're going to be at all different areas of their journey, but what kind of advice and actual actions can we give them to go play with?
So I want to jump on this one because
Okay.
I got some really good advice earlier this year from a grant writer that completely changed the way that I manage and address my relationships, and that was for her, was that everyone has deliverables. So what that means is that everyone has something that they have a purpose that they are serving or that they're trying to serve in some way, shape, or form. And you and the way that I interpreted that as a freelancer is that I have certain services and certain capacities and certain intents that I want to fulfill, whether that is creating more websites for small businesses or really training other freelancers to become freelancers. That becomes your personal deliverable that you intend to fulfill. And the best way to really connect with the people that need it the most is to talk to the people who are already serving that target demographic. If you want to help, some marginalized community, go look for nonprofits that are directly serving the marginalized community. Maybe it's not necessarily within the same values or alignment, but talking to these people will help you open doors to other people if you have a clear intent and a clear goal that is digestible, it's clear, and it's very easy to communicate with other people that you want to do. So everyone has deliverables. Just know what your deliverables are. Go look out for people who are along kind of in the same space or the same intent, purpose, and figure out how you can work together. And if you can't, well, at least you made that connection for a future endeavor.
Thank you very much. That was awesome. It's definitely an iterative process.
Yeah. Takes a while. It's not, you never get it right the first time, but you just gotta, kind of like an elevator speech, which I'm sure every freelancer is familiar with. You just gotta keep refining that process, refining that purpose, and refining that conversation until you really, really get to that vision that you manifested in the beginning of the process.
All right, what else we got out there?
And it's funny you say that, Livio, because that's one thing, like when people are talking to me where they feel like they're lost or they feel like they are just in a bad space, one of the first suggestions I always say to them is go find a nonprofit and volunteer.
Yeah.
Just do it. Find somebody, like find groups that you can help. It's something about helping others that is so inspiring, and it really sparks other ideals. So that's a great point. I love it.
I think it brings out the best in us, and it puts us in a space where it takes us out of our box. As much as I don't really like that term, I think it works here, and it tears down our walls pretty quickly and puts us in this a really interesting space of authenticity that a lot of times we're just not in otherwise. As long as we're in our box, we can have our walls up, we can live within our space. And the one thing I personally want to say is, give yourself some grace and forgiveness for the human parts of you that you just learned. And this is a journey, I think, for a lot of us to identify what is learned in our behavior, in our particular race or religion, or whatever that segment is that we're a part of, and identify what parts you don't agree with anymore and begin to change them. And don't expect to wake up tomorrow morning a changed human, just a human that has changed a little bit, and there's always more work to do.
Right. Agree.
That's right.
I will add that we definitely need to start small. And as I've been saying for the whole session, just reflecting as an individual and know, okay, what are the things that I want to bring to the table? What are my values? And then knowing that, okay, what type of projects do I want to do, and what type of clients? And just being clear with those things, because it's pretty obvious that we have a lot of work to do. The world is definitely on fire, and we need to just to start looking around us and seeing all those different problems and what resonates with me, and where do I want to start? Is it education? Is it violence? Is it poverty? So just to reflect, and then, okay, where do I want to help? Where do I want to go? And then just go to that community and get involved with organizations, and just start it small.
It could be an organization or a person. It could be as simple as that. Choosing an organization, choosing a person that you want to, get to know, so you can expand your knowledge.
And also understanding that sometimes we may have to change what our target audience is. Sometimes we have to review that. I'll never forget being guided through choosing my target audience, and it even was all the way down to race. And that always bothered me, always. Because I just didn't like the fact that, why do I have to have my target audience within a certain race group? So it's really reevaluating even what is our target audience for our own businesses, and how can we expand it?
Yeah. Kevin, I haven't heard much from you in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I guess one last comment is that it is, sort of picking up on what Livio said. This is, if you think about what positives have come out of this pandemic, is the opportunity to help people in need, which they are in much greater number now. And I think volunteering, whether it's organizations like Feeding Tampa Bay is a big one here, and helping people who just don't have food. But there's so many other needs out there in the community, and a great opportunity to expose yourself to those needs and to different, diverse members of the community. And I would just encourage everyone to remember, I know this, COVID-19 is going to be with us probably forever, but when we are able to sort of get back to some sense of normalcy, remember that those needs are still there. I think it's like you think about needs that everybody wants to give food around the Christmas time and the holidays, but you know what? Those needs are there year round, and don't forget that.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, I think I want to try to start wrapping this up. I want to give everybody a little bit of time between sessions to, refill their coffee if it's that early in the morning for you, or recycle water, recycle coffee, whatever you needed. Any last statements that we want to throw out into the the space that we're creating? I know we have a really amazing session on this on Wednesday that Michaela's going to be leading with just a lot of people in there. I mean, we've got people from corporate. I mean, the Moffitt Cancer Center, I think, has at least one or two people in there, all the way to freelancers. So the spectrum is there. Do you want to talk about that for a second, Michaela?
I am super excited. Like, so excited about this panel. I cannot wait till Wednesday. Everybody join. It is so going to be worth it. It's going to be a candid conversation amongst 6 panelists, and all different backgrounds. Like Emily said, all different backgrounds. And I love the questions that will be coming. I don't know if we're going to get to all of them because
I don't see how, but
the conversation is going to be interesting. But absolutely join it, because it's just amazing just to get different people's points of views and getting their advice as well of how to move forward.
Awesome. Anybody else have any last minutes that they want to throw into here before we close it down for a few minutes?
Yeah, I'm very. Part of the reason why I've joined this group and participate in this group is because I've seen that freelancing has done a lot for me, and I want more people to be in touch with the work, science, art of freelancing, and it all happens in a context. It all happens that as you are going through your career and making those changes in your career, maybe you're not freelancing, maybe you're maybe you're a full-time employee considering freelancing. Regardless of where you're at, you live in a certain context, and it's important to really feed that context with the values that you want to see.
Yes.
With how you see the world, like what do you think is right, what do you think is wrong, and I really think that freelancing provides an opportunity to do that, not just in how you choose your leisure time, but also in how you deliver your work. And I think that's something that's very, very beautiful that we're going to be seeing across the board in, throughout the week, the different sessions.
I think the last thing that I would just chime in on is that Buffalo is holding an in-person event tonight. So if you're looking to make a new connection and get to meet someone different than you, we'll be doing something there. So you can grab the details on our schedule. But excited to bring people together in the capacities that we can. So when there are events like this, to definitely take advantage of them.
Awesome. And I want to say that I'm going to be starting a thread over in the community. If you're not a part of Mighty Freelance Network yet, I urge you to go over there and sign up for a free account. I'd love to be able to start an entire section in that community on this conversation, just because it's so needed. It doesn't end right here. This is really just the very beginning.
It is.
Yeah.
All right, guys, if that's about it, I think we're going to wrap it up. If there's run over there, Mighty Freelance Network, I'm going to go in literally right now and set that thread up so we can start talking in there. Thank you guys so much for giving us some of your time this morning and being such a big part of this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Carl.
Thank you all.
Have a great day, guys.
Have a great day.
See you later.